This is a quick overview on how the colorist sees and paints the color of light. So there are two different types of color that we need to be aware of and think about. One is local color and the other is light key. Local color is what we grew up understanding what the named color of objects are. So green grass, blue sky, red boat. Light key is how different light conditions, a gray day, a sunny day, overcast day, how those, low light, for example, sunset or sunrise, how those types of light conditions affect local color. We always want to remember that the presence or absence of light changes our perception of color. So without light, we don't have color. So in light, there's no white and there's no black. So the object of the colorist is to get away from seeing or using our preconceived ideas of what color should be and start to train our eye to see what the color actually is. And under different types of light conditions, like the kind of day, sunny, gray, atmospheric, or the time of day, early morning, midday, late afternoon, dusk, or the angle of light, it could be artificial lighting, humidity, dust. There's so many variables and sometimes a combination of these variables that are going to play a part in how light affects local color. And so what we are actually painting is that color that the light key makes, not the local color. So for instance, when you look at green trees at a distance, oftentimes they're blue, or at sunset they're orange, or at dusk a deep violet. These physical modifications brought on by the light or lack of light and other combined conditions are what it is that we're looking to see and paint. And actually, the upshot of all of this is that local color as a simple reality is almost non-existent. We want to train our eye to be able to make comparisons. We will scan the subject before us in order to determine what colors to choose. So on a gray day scenario, for example, we might be painting a white object, let's just say a white block, and we've got other objects around it. Well, we're not just going to use white out of the tube to paint that white block. We actually are going to, first of all, compare the actual color of all the different areas of the subject matter and determine 4 components actually, which is an actual color choice, the temperature of the color, the value of the color, and the saturation of the color. And at the end of it, when you make these comparisons, you're going to quickly make a determination where a color leans into, if it's more cool or warm or yellow or violet. These different determinations are going to happen through your scanning of the subject matter. When your painting is done and you've done this accurately, it will be clear that you have a white block painted in your scene, but it will be accurate and depict the light conditions that that white block was under. So this method of study allowed one to do through constant observational scanning in which all colors were quickly compared to all other colors and was to reset the perceptual norm. So by training your eye, particularly through observing from life how light affects objects, you then start to see that the color of objects goes beyond what we learned color to actually be called, what the named colors are. And so we want to move past those ideas, those preconceived ideas, and start seeing actually the world around us in a different way. So here it talks about cadmium scarlet out of the tube and how just looking at the color, it's really neither light or dark in color, just standing alone. But when you put it near or relate it to surrounding colors, it changes the perception of that color. And so therefore it could be light in one scenario or could be dark in another scenario. So everything is relational. We have to be always comparing and scanning our subject matter. And so no color can be removed from the lighting modifications on which it's being perceived. So therefore, light trumps color, local color, always. Our eye is very sensitive to the ability to see numerous varieties of color and value, something the photograph can't actually capture. So it's important and imperative that we actually paint from life. As we grow in our ability to see color more accurately, we often will start out in this learning this process to paint really vivid, robust, bright colors, but at some point we'll grow and we'll be able to, as it says here, throw off the shackles of visual concepts. So we never want to get stuck in like believing that anything is something or like a formula. We always want to use our eyes to scan and make comparisons so that we don't get hung up in any one way. It's all about training our eye to see color, and it also involves understanding how color works. So when I teach my students, I really go in depth with how color works on the color wheel, how they interact, how to apply them in such a way for that interaction, whether it be blending or laying next to each other like Monet did. And all of that plays a role in more colorful, visually exciting, accurate light key paintings. And it's never something one will get bored with if you love exploring this and the process of painting.